to be, but we got to do something. But right now, we're going to shift our focus to this whole situation with the Texas power grid. Now, for the people who don't know what has happened, it was actually well, for us, for me and my boyfriend here, it was February 15th of 2021. Today is actually June 17th. Okay. So this happened February 15th, and the power grid was almost completely shut down. I think they had 3 or 4 more minutes if they didn't get the power back up, or it would have been a complete shutdown. Like complete shutdown. Like it's not like it would have, oh, okay, in 2 days it would come back. No, it would have been like in a month it would have gotten back, So that's one of the biggest issues. So depending on what area you were in and, all of that, location or whatnot, if you had a generator, which like many people did not, your power was out for a while. So I actually remember this day exactly. So I'm just, because I'm like, okay, I got to go to work, right? And I need my computer for it. So I work from home. So, but I was like, okay, I gotta go to work today, and I gotta, I got my computer, whatever. So I wake up, and I'm like, woo. And I don't know, it was weird this day, because this day I think I woke up probably 40 minutes before I had to go to work, which was odd. I usually wake up, like, when I say wake up, I mean like get out of my bed, wake up. And I got about 40 minutes before I had to actually go to work, right? Meanwhile, any regular day, I'm not gonna lie, I wake up 3 minutes before I like get out of my bed 3 minutes before I got to clock in, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, wow, it's like unusually cold in here. I was like, I know it's a bit chilly. I was like, I know it's cold outside, seeing that it was snowing and whatnot. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I'm like, wow, it's like really, really cold today. So I look around, I'm like, what is going on? So I come out the room, and my boyfriend, he's like sitting on the couch, and he's like, the power's out. And I'm like, the power's out? I was like, oh no, we can't do that. So I'm like, the power can't be out because I gotta go to work. So I'm like, oh man. So I'm looking, power is like, it's out. People have put in power outages. A lot of people put in power outages. And I'm like, whoa, like what's going on, man? I was like, you know what? And the power, it started to do like this weird flicker. It would be on, be off, on, off. And it got on. And I was like, wow, all right. And I looked outside. It was snow. If I'm not mistaken, it was snow. And I think there was ice during this time. Yeah, it was snow and ice. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. So I was like, okay, I'm not coming today. I can't, there's no power, nothing, right? And I was like, okay, maybe this is just us, but this is so weird. I was like, this is not a good time for this to happen. It's like freezing. And then that's when I found out it was everyone, literally everyone. So I'm like, man, for us, it lasted for 3 days. And we had to, it lasted for 3 days for us. But we had to go to a hotel, what was it? It was, some mid to lower level hotel, like a comfort suites or something like that. So we had to go there, and like we went and called. We were like, yo, can we get, I think we even said, let's just get 3 days or something like that. And they were like, okay, cool. But this was before everyone and their mama had the same idea that we had, because by the time we got there, they were like, yeah, you're good to go, whatever, your room. But they were like, yeah, so hopefully you're not planning on staying any more than 3 nights because they were like, because we're booked. And the call other places, everyone was booked, right? Because people didn't have power. So we're like, oh man. So So what it was in Texas, the power grid fell, and I'll explain all that later. But with us, we're like, okay, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here, right? It was snow and ice. Yeah, it was snow and ice. It was like when I say it was snow and ice, because I'm originally from Illinois. Okay, so snow and ice ain't snow and ice. We know it's gonna happen. Whatever. Got my coat. Whatever. Who cares, right? Snow and ice here it was not the same, and the reason why is because they were not prepared for it. So what I mean by that is, like, one, we didn't even have shovels. We weren't even prepared for it. Almost no one had a generator. There was no shovels, right? So I'm like, man, what are we gonna do? Because I wasn't expecting snow. Okay, I'm gonna be real. I was not expecting snow. So I'm like, okay, man, this is insane. So I I go and we're like, yo, we gotta go, and he was, something was going on in his car, whatever. And I was like, you're gonna have to take my car. My car is a new car, really. Got it in 2019. It was 2020. And I was like, okay, so my car is fine. It barely has any miles on it, really. I was like, come on, let's do mine. I was like, okay, cool. So driving the car, it's ice all on our driveway, ice and, snow. Ice all on the block. I'm like, dang. Then we're like, okay, maybe it's just because the snow plow, because from Illinois, 4:00, 3 a.m., they got the snow plow machines putting that salt all over the roads. So there's none of this, right? Then I'm like, okay, well, it's going to look better, right? Go out, almost no one's out. Like, it was almost no one. And we look, and it was it was ice everywhere. I've never seen anything like this before. It was ice literally on the main road. And I'm like, oh my goodness, right? You had a few people here and there, but it was nothing like what it usually is, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness. And everything, the car is sliding, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I don't have an all-wheel drive. I was like, no snow tires. The thing, I needed this stuff, right? No shovel in the back. He had like a little mini one, but the mini one, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. So we're like, you know what? We're just gonna have to do what we gotta do or whatnot. And we were like, okay, well, we gotta get something to eat. First, check into the place, get something to eat. So we checked into the hotel, whatever. Then we were like, okay, we got to find somewhere to eat. Nothing was open. And understandable. Nothing was open. The only thing that was open was after we passed like 10 to 12 gas stations, only like 2 were open, right? And they had like snacks, unhealthy junk. But you had to eat something, right? So I remember I got these bugles. And the bugles where, like, if you're a kid, like, they're like the little cones and you put them on your fingers. That's what I got. I got that, and I got like some oatmeal cream pies and whatever, right? I had a terrible stomach ache the next day. It's terrible. But I'm like, okay, whatever with it. And that's all we had. And then I was, we were looking, they were like, HEB, that's our grocery store. They were like, we'll be open. I'm like, HEB coming in clutch, right? Like, thank goodness. And we went, and then, we had to come back to the house, try to see, because we were hearing that people's electricity was going on and off, like, because I later found out they were doing like this rotation where they'll put yours on, everyone else's will be off, and then they'll turn yours off, then put theirs on, and then keep going, and they'll just keep rotating it all around. So we're like, okay, well, we could go to HEB first, right? We left too late, I guess you can say. And the line for HEB was just, it was insane. I've never seen anything like this before, because it was just wrapping around. It wrapped. So you had the building of HEB. And if you ever seen HEB before, been to HEB, HEBs are huge, Okay, this is some big grocery stores. Okay, so you had an HEB, and then it was wrapped around the building and wrapped like 5 stores down the line. And of course they were limiting what you could get. So water was the main thing. So you couldn't go in there and be like, oh, I'm gonna buy 10 cases of water. No, you could leave out with one. Or like the two, like these kind of size waters, or you can leave out with 2 of those, but you can't, like, you know what I mean? You can't be getting a whole bunch. You can't be hoarding stuff like what people do with these toilet tissues and toilet paper. So they were like, okay, so you guys go and get that. And we're like, okay. But I was looking, I was like, man, this line is insane. I'm like, there's not going to be anything in there. By the time you get in there, it's not going to be anything. So then we didn't go. So then we were like, okay, well, you know what? We're just going to go. We're just going to find another place to eat, whatever. And we managed to get something. It was like this Italian food, whatever. It was them, and I think maybe another person that were open. So then we're like, okay, we're like, we gotta have something. I remember Taco Bell was open. That line had like 40 cars, and it was wrapped around, and I was like, yo, that's not happening, right? Because I will say I do enjoy a nice bean burrito from them, but you gotta have mild sauce. You gotta pour it all on there, or it's not good. So I was like, okay, well, I guess that's not gonna happen. And so we got the food. We went back, because the thing about it is you did not want to be out on those roads, because those roads were not salted at all. There was no salt on those roads. There was no plow trucks, nothing. There was no pickup truck. As many pickup trucks that are in Texas, and none of them had the shovel on it. And that's what I was seeing in Illinois all the time. People had these pickup trucks and they'll have the shovel, and then they're shoveling this stuff. There was nothing. So I was like, oh my God. I was like, you guys, what? Like, this is insanity. It was insanity. Then they put like this weird water salt mixture thing. And you're putting water on roads and it's freezing temperatures. What are you doing? And they're like, oh, I was talking to someone. They were like, oh, well, because if you put this water mixture on there, then, the water doesn't melt or something like that. And I'm like, okay, but what happens if it gets to this temperature? Oh, well, I mean, then the water wouldn't come into effect. So you put in water on that? It doesn't make any sense. I was like, yo, it makes no sense to me. So I was like, yo, this is crazy. So the next day we ended up actually going to the grocery store. We got some groceries or whatnot. Some things, pretty much almost nothing was open. And then, we went back, and then the electricity was still off. But by this time or whatnot, the 3 days has already passed. And I'm like, yo, you couldn't get another day. So we're like, man, what the heck, right? So then we go back, we wait. It was like, I think like an hour past something. The power just came on, but then it came off, then it went off. And then it finally came on. I don't know how many hours later, but it finally came on and we were good, right? So I'm like, bruh, all of this could have been prevented. All of this could have been prevented, if you would just, and I'm going to get to it. But it was just insane. Just the look of everything. Everything was just white. It was just, oh my God, it was so much ice everywhere. It was insane. Even getting out of the hotel room and getting into my car, because I'm in the hotel room and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go remote start my car, right? Because I was like, okay, I can remote start it, get the car warmed up because it is cold. My thing is like, nah, we ain't remote starting today. And I'm like, what? What's going on? And then we were like, okay, maybe because it's the ice. Okay. So we get to the car. It's cold outside, right? We get to the car, and then my doors are not opening at all. Like, it's ice because, snowing and all that. So all that water and then the temperature, it froze all the ice on the car. So you can't even open up the car. Then you had the ice. It was literally my car was literally like, it was an ice cube, literally, right? And I'm like, bruh, we can't even open up the door. What's going to happen? And there was ice on all the windows and the mirrors, everything. So then we're just like, he's on one side, I'm on the other. We're just like, you're just jerking this door. We're like, you better fucking open up, right? So we finally like get it. It's just like a little piece. And then I'm like, I got my hand, my fingers, and I'm just like, trying to get that ice off, right? Without damaging the car. Then we finally get that door open. I'm like, okay. I was like, let me get in. And you get on the driver's side and I'm gonna push this door open. So we had to like just pry this door open, right? It was insanity. So then we were trying to because the trunk wouldn't open either. So we had to put stuff in the back seat because the trunk was much more difficult to get that open. So we're like, dang, so we got to get the back seats and, prying this stuff open. It was just insanity. But yeah, so all this stuff happened and, we finally got back and it was a normal, it got back to normal, whatever. But I'm like, yo, what the heck? And then we get back and because we were following the news the entire time we were in the hotel anyways. And then I get back and I'm like, yo, well, we can't use this water, right? We were buying some bottled water at, certain places. Bottled water, $3, by the way. And I'm like, come on, y'all. Cause I need to buy like 5-10 of these. I can't be spending $3 for each bottle of water. So I'm like, dang. And then we couldn't use our water it was on a boil water notice, right? But you don't really want to drink that stuff. So you know what I mean? You don't want to really drink it or cook with that stuff. I used it for just like taking a shower or whatnot. And that was it. I had to do like little wipe offs and whatnot and, whatever. But I'm like, bruh, yeah, I couldn't use the water for, I think, like a week and a half, something like that. But we're just boiling this water. It was so annoying. Oh my God. It was so annoying. I just had to keep, constantly boil. And I was done, right? So, long story short, that was my experience with the Texas power grid and the mess ups that happened, right? So, our main thing, we're doing our research. We're trying to figure out why did this happen? Comes down to the limiting of regulation on the power companies. So, Texas does not just have like a lot of other areas have like this one power company, whatever. But Texas has so many different ones. And there's all of these different, or I guess lack of regulation for them, right? There's, the state is not requiring them to, like the companies, to upgrade their equipment. You know how you get the routine tests like, okay, yeah, this needs to be upgraded or you can't, you're going to be out of business because you're not following code, whatever. There was none of that. There's absolutely none of that. So that was one of the big issues too, because there's no regulation and you're not requiring people to do what it is that they're supposed to be doing. And then it was up in, because Texas actually has something similar to this in 2011, where, Texas knew they needed to be winterized. But they, before they were like, oh, whatever, we're Texas, whatever, right? In 2011, it was something similar to what happened, but not as much apparently. And it was frozen gas wells, coal plants, wind turbines, everything, right? And nothing could be done. So then you had, areas that, everyone was affected by it. But after that day, or I guess after that period of time in 2011, yes, certain areas, and this is actually what I want to show you later on. Which one is it? But this is what I want to show you about. It's a little chart here that I actually want to show you. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yes. And this was of what happened before, what I told you, and what happened now. So they have different colors and they tell you, okay, well, this is the people who lost power. People in the gray had no outages, right? So you have over here, you have the El Paso and the Hudspeth county. You have little areas over here. And I really like this. So I'm going to link, this is the texastribute.org. I'm going to link all the links that I've used for this kind of video. I'm going to put them all in the description box. So you guys can look at this and play around with it and, get a more of an understanding of what happened, who was affected, so you can actually look for yourself. You got some areas up here. You got some areas over here, but this is one of the big areas. This area, El Paso area, you got the Newton County over here. You got these areas. And if you look, like, you got the Austin here, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, all of this. So I looked and I'm like, well, how is that possible? How is it that not every area is this dark blue, this medium, just regular blue? Or why is it not in a shade of blue? Why is it gray, right? Why is it gray, or even at like a high, at a very, very low, faint blue or green? I was like, how do you even get that, right? Well, after 2011, people, in that area, they were like, well, we got to winterize our system. We got to make it for the winter, got to make it for the summer, make it so that when we get hit with these kind of catastrophes, that nothing like this will happen again. That's what that is. Because if you look, like I said, I'm from Illinois. Okay, if you look, there's you may have a blackout here and there, some stuff, but it wasn't due to like weather for us. You know what I mean? Like winter, we never went without power. There was none of this. There was, like I said, they did the streets. They had this. They had, they winterized everything. There's so many places because most places get a lot of snow. But you being Texas, you want to separate and have your own little thing, thinking that you're not a part of the United States. And then you have, you don't regulate as much as you really should be regulating. And then this is what happens. And I mean, we see that in this map. Let me see if I can give you the whole thing. Yeah, here we go. In that map, almost everyone was affected. And then you have the people on the side, and you have some people in this area. Yes, you have some people in this area, but then you have these people over here and people over here. Okay, now you can also say it's possibly because of population, but there are certain areas that's only of one. But there are a lot of areas that, like right here, this one, 93%, Houston area. You have the Austin area. You have Laredo. You got Corpus Christi. I mean, there's a lot, and it's like, why, if you guys know that this has happened in 2011, why would you guys not make an effort to, I don't know, winterize your systems? So you could try to prevent this from happening. And I actually have an article here. Let me see. Let me turn them off. I actually have an article here where it says, why didn't Texas power plants winterize after 2011 storms? All right. And I'm going to read a little snippet of it here and there. And if you, like I said, if you want to read it, I have like the full thing. I'll put it in the comments. You can't get any further west in Texas than the sharp point of the map known as El Paso, right? And this is El Paso right here. Where am I at? It says, when a major winter storm hit Texas in 2011, El Paso went dark. A federal report revealed El Paso Electric lost all 8 of its power generators during that storm. This is talking about in 2011. It took the power utility 3 days to get the units running. El Paso's low temperatures dipped to 14 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 days and didn't rise above freezing for 6 nights during the February 2021 week storm. Under a blanket of snow and ice, the lights stayed on this time. Someone said, I think from El Paso Electric and all of its employees, this was personal. And we made a commitment in 2011 that we said, we're never going to let this happen again. Now, why is it that this isn't a statewide thing? Why is it that you got people in El Paso that are like, yeah, we're not gonna have this happen again, because this could be deadly for people, as we have seen that in Texas. This one is from March 25th, which was last month. At least 111 people died in Texas. A lot from hypothermia, but then you also have some that were from, quite a few that were from carbon monoxide poisoning, because they're trying to stay warm. There's actually a case that I'll get to in a little bit about that. But it said the electric utility spent $4.5 million to winterize 2 of its older power plants. This process took EPE 18 months to finish. Well, why can't you do that? It says it said the electric utility spent $4.5 million to winterize 2 of its older power plants. I was just watching a news story today of Abbott and what. So this whole building a wall thing, right? So you have everyone talking about, oh, we got to build this wall, we got to do this, we got to do that, whatever. Well, I was actually watching the video, and it said that for 1 mile of the wall, it cost them, I believe it said $24 million to make 1 mile of the wall. It costs around $24 million for 1 mile of a wall. Meanwhile, this article is saying the electric utility spent $4.5 million, not $20 million, not $24 million, not $5 million, but $4.5 to winterize 2 of its older power plants. So why can't you do that? Why would you spend money on this, let's get the wall, when we still have issues with the power grid? Because I'm even now on the news, and this is June 17th of 2021. Even now on the news, they're telling you, put your thermostats up to 78 degrees, which, that's a bit hot in my opinion. And it's 95 outside. You're telling me to put my stuff at 78 degrees. Oh, we'll start unplugging stuff and do this because we got to save power because our grid is still messed up. Meanwhile, you're doing that, but you have enough money for this. And it's like, how are you able to pay for that, but you can't pay for this? And this is something that killed at least 111 people. Because, what's the reasoning for it? And that's why I'm going to continue with this article. All right. So we got this part that says natural gas failures last month were blamed for several of the power plant's failures inside the ERCOT grid. A pair of executives from Dallas area power utilities told lawmakers the state power sectors relies too heavily on natural gas to power generator plant. Oh yeah, and then they were over here trying to say that it was because of green energy or something like that. They're like, because of wind turbines and that's what caused it. Like that was their initial thing. And it's like, that doesn't even make any sense. What are you even talking about? But here just tells you about the natural gas, how much of it is, fueling and whatnot. I recommend reading this full article. Like I said, I'll link it down below because this is insane. But what I wanted to go talk about was this. It says when ERCOT issued its power curtailment order in the early morning hours of February 15th, like that's what I said happened, utilities companies across the state started pulling the plug from homes and businesses. Lovelock wasn't one of those places. The ERCOT grid covers most of Texas. Only 41 of the state's 254 counties do not fall under their power grid, which I want to say I was out of it, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember it said El Paso is the largest county outside of it. And we see everything that's happening with it. A lot of it is political. A lot of it is, hey, I want to make my money and I want you guys to make some money, and corruption. I mean, that's really what it falls down to, because if you really cared about it, and you really cared about people and how to prevent all this stuff and how to just have a better, more unified state, then you would have done what they did in 2011, which is winterize after the storms. Why would you only have a part over here and a part over here, and some parts maybe here that have winterized it, and most of you guys have not? Texas is not like it's a tiny state by far. It's a huge state and it has a lot of people. Okay, so that's something that I really don't understand. But there was this story. It was actually heartbreaking, where they were talking about this little boy. So it's this little boy. He was 11 years old, and I believe the story said that he was living like with his family, like in a mobile home. And if it's freezing, like I said, the hotels, booked, they were packed. There was, you couldn't do anything. So they're in there or whatnot. Look, right now it's 89 and it's only 11:43 a.m. Okay. And that's in Houston. So he was living in the mobile home with his family. It was freezing. Everyone was freezing. They said he died of carbon monoxide poisoning, and not what people thought, which was hypothermia, but it was the carbon monoxide poisoning. Because he was trying to stay warm, his family was trying to keep him warm, keep everyone warm, and he ended up dying because of that. This could have been prevented if everything were to have already been winterized in 2011. And you could stop pretending like you were some different place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they make it seem like they're just some different, just offset state that, we're not a part of, the US or anything like that. But you are. If everyone else is following these rules, you need to be following them as well. Have more legislation, have more regulation. That's what needs to happen. I mean, there's nothing else you can say besides just that. There's nothing else you can say besides just that. Oh, and then what also aided in it was the fact that as people electricity bills, as people were out of electricity, their power was not on, this and that, and the third, you then had, and this one is from prior to everything, but you then had electric companies that were like, even though you didn't have power, they were forcing like the increase that they were getting from their electric or whatever, and they were putting the cost on you. So if your regular bill was, let's say your regular bill was $150, I don't know, you were now paying like $300. I mean, this stuff was on the news where people were like, yo, like, there's no reason why I should be paying this much, and I didn't even have any power, and it's just really interesting. And also another thing I thought was not funny, but that was interesting, was there's this picture that shows downtown Austin. That's what it was. Downtown Austin. It was a picture that was shown, and it was half of it was black and the other was not. So let me see if I can actually pull that up for you. If I can pull it up, see if it's going to load or not. Yeah, it's not even trying to load right now. But it was this picture where it was like half of the area was like pitch black and the other half had power, right? And it's like, How is that even? Oh, so now Google wants to work. um, have black. All right, let's see what we get if they want to stop playing. But it was like this picture where half of it there was power and the other half there was no power at all. Let me see. I don't know what's going on. The internet's like really slow. And I noticed that's also another thing where it's like really, really, really slow. And I don't know why it's acting like that. But this picture, I actually found it. But the other one was like you got to see it like head on, like straight up. You can actually see what it looked like. But yeah, I mean, you have half of it, there's no power. And then the other half is just powered up. And a lot of it were like businesses and all that. And then it's like, okay, you look and it's like, okay, you're telling me about this. I'm gonna see if they got the picture in here. It looks similar to this, but this wasn't the actual pic. Yeah. So I got to see it from like split in between here. So you have here where it's all black. Then got over there where it was all like, and it was like all businesses and all this and that and then a third. And it's like, well, how is it that we're being told to conserve energy? We're being told to conserve energy. Oh well, unplug, toaster ovens, unplug this, unplug that. Or you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And then I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, but how are you gonna tell me to do that? And I'm looking at you guys, and you guys are literally just wasting energy. How are you gonna tell me that I have to do this, and you're not doing that yourself? That's just this whole thing that I don't really understand too much and I don't really get. But I mean, something has to change. I mean, you need to, and this is with everyone in politics, this is everyone in general. Everyone needs to start caring about the people that they're serving. I mean, if you're not going to be serving the people, my opinion is this: why are you even here? If you're not going to do what it is that you are supposed to be doing, you campaign on certain things, you're not doing it. You're supposed to be in a position of power that you can do. You can help people out, and you choose not to. That's something I just don't get, and I don't get why you would be okay with doing said thing. But yeah, that's what I got for today. Is this homeless situation that needs to be mediated. It needs to be fixed. You can't just be finding people and arresting people, and that just is not going to work. And then we have this crazy power grid situation that we're even still dealing with today. Months later, we're still dealing with it because today, I mean, they're like I said, they're saying put your stuff up to 78 because it's going to get so hot and your power will go out. I mean, I've been noticing, and it wasn't just me. A lot of other people have been noticing that the internet's even acting wonky, like, oh, I don't know. Now, could it be everyone, on that same, kind of internet? Yeah, maybe, but I'm seeing it with a lot of other people too. So I don't know if that has something to do with it as well. I definitely want to check it out and figure out what's going on. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about